Good evening, all of you. This is Dr. Sharmila. Well, at the outset, let me thank Dr. Newton and Dr. Lakshmi and Quantum Life University to give me this opportunity to share with all of you. Well, a brief introduction about me. I have studied Ayurveda, and when I was practicing, I felt the need to support in a complementary way the mental and emotional approach along with the medicine. So I went on to study psychology, yoga, philosophy. And I got an opportunity to study with amazing personalities, that is Dr. Newton and Dr. Lakshmi. So I studied past life regression, family constellation, inner child work, and rebirthing breath work with Dr. Newton. And since then, there has not been looking back. I feel is a holistic approach towards healing, towards helping people to resolve their issues, making a transformation with them at mental level, emotional level, even at physical level. And then it does give a sense of tremendous job satisfaction when I see people transformed with this holistic approach. Well, moving ahead, my topic today is balancing the masculine and feminine energies. We live on Mother Earth, we live on the in the world of duality. There are two polar opposites that exist. This universe is composed of two poles of existence. They are they seem competing to each other, they seem opposite to each other, they seem polar opposites, but they are also complementary forces to each other. There is no identity of one unless there is the other one. So it needs two to know one. And we live on Mother Earth in this world of duality, the duality of dark and light. And even in the light, you see a shadow. So we don't know what is dark unless there is a light. And we don't know what is light unless there is a darkness. Sun and moon, passivity and activity, cold and hot. Unless we know what hot is, we won't know what cold is. So we need two to know one, black and white, pleasure and pain. Unless you have experienced pleasure, you will not know the pain, and the vice versa. And also male and female. So these are the dualities. There are plenty. These are some of the examples. These are the dualities in the universe. In Chinese philosophy, there's a concept of yin and yang. So again, it is a concept of polarity. Yin, I would say, is called for a feminine principle, and yang for the masculine principle. If you see in this circle, there are two worlds of black and white, and they seem to be merging with each other. They are separate, yet they are merging into each other. And there is a seed of one into the other. So you can also see these dots, white dot in the black and black dot in the white. So Even if they look separate, they are also merging into each other. They seem opposite or contrary forces, but they are in a way complementary. They are interconnected and they are also interdependent. They may give rise to each other as they interrelate to one another, and the identity of one is complete because of the other. Both sides are carrying the seed of one another, and only when they exist together, their coexistence and their unity, that makes us whole. So the whole picture, as you see, is an amalgamation, is a mixture of both these worlds, separate, different, yet they are merging into each other. So this is yin and yang. Let us see ahead what are masculine and feminine energies. Well, when I say masculine and feminine energies, I am not talking about man and a woman, boy and a girl, husband and wife, father and mother. I'm not talking about them. In fact, these masculine and feminine energies are present in all of us. So do not confuse masculinity and femininity with gender perspective. They are energies, both of them present in an individual, but coming across the times, there had been a very traditional, rigid conditioning with respect to the men and women and perceived as feminine and masculine. Since the primitive times, the man, since he's strong and he's muscular, he's well built, he went out, he did the hunting, he got the food, and women being physically weaker and more of nurturing, stayed at home, looked after the household, looked after the children, looked after the connections in the society, and then they got stereotyped. These gender specific roles they played from the primitive times, they got stereotyped. And with this stereotyping, there came a lot of limited conditioning, a lot of beliefs, and a lot of gender specific personality traits and beliefs. Men should be like this, men must be like this, women must be like this, they should behave like this, women should behave like this. These are the characteristics of a man or a woman. And then the essence of this masculinity and feminine energies got lost into this rigid conditioning. Also, then it also became the control game or power games where the femininity at times got repressed with the beliefs like, okay, men have to be strong, men can't show emotions, men can't embrace emotions, made them somewhere repressing, suppressing the feminine aspect of them. So this stereotyping got into, limited conditioning with respect to masculine and feminine energies. But as I said, we are, we all humans are an amalgamation of both these energies, regardless of who we are, whether a man or a woman, regardless of gender, within us exist the masculine and feminine energies, both of them together. And we all carry the traits from both of these sets, they can be in different proportion. In Hinduism, Shiva and Shakti. Shiva represent the divine masculine, the masculine characteristics, and Shakti as a feminine energy. And the union of Shiva and Shakti created the creation. The balance of these, the union of this, the coming together of these, the creation was created. Even in humans, if you see the Kundalini Shakti that is rising from the root chakra to the Sahasrara chakra is a union of Shiva and Shakti and representation of feminine and masculine within us. Generally, men are men have more of masculine energy traits and women have more of feminine traits. So the proportion in a man of masculine traits can be more than the feminine traits. And even women, the proportion of feminine energies, of female energies, we can call, is more than the masculine traits. And in different situations, in different environment, we access whatever the proportion of feminine and masculine energies are needed. The different associated characteristics of human potential are incomplete without each other. 100% masculine man will be too rigid, too controlling, and 100% feminine woman will be very vulnerable and very delicate, I would say, very passive. So, really, in existence, only masculine or 100% masculine and 100% feminine really don't exist. There is always a mixture of masculine and feminine in different proportions. We need both these to be complete. And as I said, we access different energies in different situations. If a woman is the boss in the company, if she's a chairman in the company, she needs to be managing, she needs to be in control. So she needs to be in more of masculine personality traits. And as I said, it's not about a gender, it's about the energy, the masculine energy. And if a man is working with maybe in a school with children or with the people, then a more of feminine traits, more of nurturing, more of collaborative, more of social skills are needed over there. So, depending upon what situations we are in, depending upon what environment we are in, we access different energies in different proportions. Traditionally, as you are aware, left side of the brain is more of logical, more of mathematical, more of analytical, and the right side is more of emotional or more of creative. That's why the masculine qualities, they are connected to the left brain. They are connected to the verbal expression and more of analytical, more of systematic, and more of abstract type of thinking. Whereas feminine or the female qualities are connected to non-verbal. It's more of uh, sensory experiential. It's more of relational. It's more of subjective experience. And it's more of concrete rather than the abstract type of thinking. It's more of going into sensory perception, sensory experiences. Let us see what are the characteristics of masculinity and femininity. The masculine is more of left brain, more of logical thinking, more of linear thinking, more of analytical thinking, more of into head and mind. And if you've seen some people, like maybe if you see in a couple, if wife just wants to talk just went out, maybe the other person will keep giving suggestions. It's like, if you do this, this will happen. If you take this action, this will be better. So it's more of a logical, more of analytical thinking. Whereas the feminine principle is right brain. It's more of creative in nature. It's more of emotional and intuitive. So the balance of logical and creative is very much needed. Sometimes to find out solutions, to resolve some questions, to resolve problems, we can't have a direct approach, we can't have a logical approach, but we can be creative. We need to do what you call out of box thinking, a more creative. Maybe it will give resolutions. Masculine is goal oriented. The focus is on goal, climbing up the ladders, whereas the feminine flows with the process. Is it flows spontaneously, it allows itself to flow. Masculine is more individualistic. There's a sense of boundaries that comes with the masculine energies. There is a sense of free self, there's a sense of individualized self that comes with the masculine energies. Whereas the feminine is all collective, or is all integrating everyone. It's all taking everyone into closer net. And only feminine or more of feminine can be, there's a fear of, or there is a chance of losing the sense of boundaries, and then going into a very overwhelming emotion. So the balance of being an individual with a sense of boundaries and then approaching in a collective way or integrating others is a balanced approach. So here we need the balance of both. The masculine is differentiating. It understands the differences, it understands the differentness, whereas the feminine principles are about finding similarities, getting people close. Masculine is oriented exteriorly. The focus goes into the environment, into the outer world, whereas with maybe five physical senses, whereas the feminine, it looks within, it reflects within, the internal orientation is there. Masculine is about doing, it's about charge to do the things, action oriented. And feminine is about being. So a human being can't be always doing and doing. It can be very tiring, it can be exhausting. And then there is no looking within if we are always into doing. So it's important to reflect within and also be, just be in the being state. Masculine has a sense of independence, whereas the feminine energies are all about interdependency. In life, also, yeah, sometimes we need to be independent, And to feel independent, we need to have that mental, emotional, and physical strength. Yet, we are really not independent all the time. We are interdependent. The food we eat, the work we do, even we are born into a family to mother and father. The food that we eat comes from the mother, the farmers get it, it is carried in the vehicle. So we are always interdependent. So there's a balance of dependent and interdependent has to be there with both these principles. Masculine comes with a hierarchical structure. Like, as I said, they want to climb up, the linear climbing up. They want to go up and up and up, climb the steps. The analysis is a linear one, whereas with femininity, it comes the circular or the systemic thinking, collaborative approach. And I tell you again and again, it's not about man and woman or husband and wife or father and mother. It's not about gender. It's not about sex, but it's about we having these two characteristics, these two set of characteristics within us. Masculine is more of assertive, whereas feminine is accommodating and more of receptive. Masculine is more of giving, more of assertive. It's about cause and effect, finding solution with root cause and the effect. Whereas femininity is about relating to each other. It's about relationships. It's about connections. Masculine aspect is structured. As I said, it's mathematical. It's about angles and lines and triangles. Whereas femininity has a random approach. It's more of circles. It's more of in the process. Masculine is conscious, feminine principle is has a subconscious aspect. Masculine is urgent, there is a sense of urgency, whereas femininity can teach you to be patient. When you have this aspect, you can be more patient. Masculine is action oriented, goal oriented, whereas feminine enjoys the process, it enjoys the planning. Masculine is about reality, whereas feminine is about vision. Masculine is the strength, but feminine brings a flexibility within us. The rigidity of the strength doesn't work, but it's like the example of straight trees can be broken down, whereas if there is a flexibility, it can just bend down and survive. So strength with flexibility has to be there. Masculine is firm, whereas feminine is gentle. So, how do we know whether we have a healthy combination of masculine traits and feminine traits? So, when the masculine is balanced, we are clear about taking decisions. There is a clarity, there is a direction of where to go, what to do, and what is the goal, what needs to be achieved. And there is also a drive to go towards it. There is also a action. There is also, moving ahead, taking steps, going with a drive in that direction to achieve the goal is there. There's a stability, and there is also a feeling of feeling protected and ability to protect that comes with the most masculine energies. Also feeling supported, and giving support is a masculine aspect, and cherishing. When the feminine is balanced, we have connections, we have connectivity with others. Our connectivity with friends or family or in the job perspective or personal relations, they are managed well. There is a healthy emotional connections over there. However, the conflicts can happen because we all are different, but the conflicts can be managed well. There is a fluidity of emotions. Emotions can be felt, and emotions are inevitable to a human being. We don't exist without the emotions. We can't reject them, we can't be indifferent. So, femininity within us brings in that fluidity of emotions to experience, to feel, and let go. We can relate to each other, we can relate to the people in more compassionate, in more empathetic way. That's the feminine principle in us. More of nurturing, more of loving, more of caring aspect that we have within us is about femininity that is balanced. Understanding each other, putting ourselves into the other shoes, being empathetic, being warm to each other. However, not all the time these principles within us, feminine and masculine, are balanced. They can be less, they can be excess, or they can be dysfunctional. And it depends on how we are brought up, in what environment we are brought up, in what family dynamics that we are brought up, how we relate to our father and mother, and how we have seen their dynamics with each other. Also, there are a lot of beliefs, a lot of values. What is right, what is wrong, what is good, what is bad. All these very consciously and subconsciously, verbally and non verbally, that the child is perceiving. And all this conditioning can imbalance, can make these energies within us dysfunctional. So, some parts of ourselves can be either stagnant or overreactive or imbalanced. This happens because of the gender specific conditioning. We all belong to systems. We all belong to a religion, to a country, to the community, to a society, to a family, to a lineage, and even our socioeconomic status where we live. All these, all these systems, they impose certain conditioning on us. And gender specific conditioning can be very profound, can have a very profound influence on us. It can be very rigid at times. And these beliefs, with respect to gender specific beliefs, I would say men should be like this, women should be like this. That brings in this dysfunctionality of these energies within us. This imbalance occurs due to complex psychological and emotional mesh of previous experiences and the things we learned while growing up. Also, the experiences that we have undergone, uh, how we have seen a father behaving, respecting the mother and other women, and same how mother we have seen respecting and behaving with men. This has an impact, and this creates a very subconscious conditioning beliefs within us. and that can create the imbalance in these energies. Everything we are taught about gender appropriate behavior, expectations, and so on influences us later in life. Parents do have expectations towards the child. Maybe they want son to become an engineer, maybe they want a girl to become doctor. So if you see these roles also, they come with gender specifications. Well, nowadays there's a lot of change in this so-called gender specific roles. In defense forces, even on the battlefield, there are many, many women. They are flying aeroplanes. They are at the they are the chairpersons in the companies. And also men are in roles where there is more empathetic approach, there is more collaborative approach is needed. Sometimes the conditioning that is coming from the environment that we stayed, the upbringing that we are brought in, that can create a lot of dysfunctioning, a lot of irrational beliefs within us. Yeah. For example, boys are taught to suppress their feminine qualities. If the boy falls down, maybe the mother will say, "Oh, you are a man, you are a strong person, you're not supposed to cry." So, what happens is our feminine aspects of experiencing emotions, the fluidity of emotions is repressed. And whatever is repressed gets expressed in some other way. And the way the boys are brought up, it represses the feminine qualities such as creativity, expressing emotions, and intuitions. The same with girls. Girls are also conditioned, mostly by mothers too. They are taught that they should always let someone else lead them. They can be less ambitious. They have to get married and look after the household or never question anything. However, this scenario is now changing. There is a transformation that is taking place. But coming from ancient times, these have been a conditioning, these have been certain uh, rigid beliefs with respect to the gender specific boys and girls, which creates a havoc in a life. It creates a disbalance in feminine and masculine aspect in us. We tend to repress, we tend to be not in acceptance with those parts of us. Even if the girl is being really repressed, she may start hating herself as feminine. There won't be an acceptance of my own femininity, and that can create disbalance in energies, and that can also create physical manifestation in some of the gynecological elements. So this is how, when the energies are balanced, they also reflect in our mental aspect, emotional aspect, and also our in our physical bodies. When masculine is out of balance, what happens? When there is too much of masculine traits and is not really sufficiently supported by the feminine energies, there can be a lot of aggression in a person, whether he's a man or a woman. They can be controlling, they can be confrontational always. They can get into conflicts, debates, fights in a very fierce way. They can be critical, but not understanding, not putting themselves into the other shoes. They can be unstable. They can be closing, shutting down themselves to the feelings. They can be indifferent. They can be running away from the emotions. They can be unsupportive. And they can be just, you know, a doing person. You would have seen the people, some of them are workaholic. They are just into doing and doing, just into action, not knowing when to stop until one really burns out and needs a physical rest. So they are too much into doing, too much into action. And when they burn out, then getting sick is the only rest that they get. And even if they are resting, they can be very restless. Rest is not really a rest, but the restlessness being in bed. There can be anxiety, overthinking, and the anxiety can come from needing to know ahead in time, before time, that can create the anxiety. They can be, the sense of independence can be too rigid. You would have seen like people sometimes when they are driving, they don't want to ask for directions. Even if they are lost, they will not ask for directions. Okay, nowadays the GPS is there, but they will not ask for directions. So a sense of interdependency is not there. Too much of too much of driven individualism over there. That can be the masculine out of balance. What happens when the feminine is out of balance? It can be controlling in a passive way. If it's a repressed, see, femininity is about being passive and it really doesn't go into a confrontational mode. It doesn't go into a direct approach way. So there can be a manipulation, there can be a controlling in a different way. They can be they can be critical, demanding, manipulative. They can be overgiving. They give, and give, but underlying there is a lot of frustration. And maybe they are not in a space of receiving. There may be issues of feeling not deserved, not worthy. There can be people pleasing. There's a need, underlying need, feeling unworthy and overly needy. There can be a depression. Passivity can get a person into depressive modes, feeling low in energy, not in a space to really do, but just static state, just stagnation can be there. There can be too many overwhelming feelings. And when there is a lot of emotions, there's no really clarity to what to do. Beyond the emotions, there is really no clarity, but it is very overwhelming feeling with too many emotions. And then a person can be scattered in the flight mode. And flight mode is about depression. And then the person can be ungrounded, losing the presence, losing the awareness of this moment. Overemphasis on the creative aspect, but no action. There's a lot of planning, there's a lot of ideas, but they are not really manifesting. There's really no action. They're not really going anywhere. And when these energies are out of balance, there can be a whirlpool of chaos. Like there can be too much of logic and rationality, which is a masculine aspect, but missing on the creative approach. to solving problems. There can be a lot of aggression, but missing on the emotional side, the affectionate side of us. The use of strength can be done for the terror, from the criminal activities, for the violence. And over there, the feminine balance of strength that is being to protect, feeling protective, and the providing is missing over there. The person can be very superficial and ego driven, and there is no authenticity over there. It's a mask. It's a mask of fierce ego. They can be arrogant, but there can be loss of confidence over there. The lack of confidence is there. They can be reckless, but they are not adventurous. And the use of power and strength is done for selfish reasons. This can be chaos when the feminine and masculine are not in balance. Then it becomes difficult for women to let go of the control, and letting go becomes difficult, whereas feeling emotions and connecting to heart becomes difficult for men. So these energies being out of balance can create a lot of dysfunctionality as individual self. So we have seen what are the reasons that can throw these energies in imbalance within us. We have also seen what are the personality traits of masculine and behavior, of masculine and feminine. So, in order to bring a balance between these two energies, it is important that we come into the awareness. There is a willingness, there is an openness to work on ourselves. And it is important that, first of all, we accept ourselves with these energies. If I am a woman, I accept my femininity completely without any, I would say, judgments. So it is important that we acknowledge and accept these energies within us. None of these characteristics are enough on their own. The balance of both these are important because they really don't exist without each other. Each side supports the other in a unique way, and one needs an emotional maturity and willingness to do that inner work, to be open, to be willing, to be ready to look into our own inner dynamics, to look into all these traits and behaviors and emotional patterns of masculine and feminine. So, the understanding of these energies within us is important. As I said, the acceptance of these energies, mostly the profound energy within us, like I am a woman, so the feminine within me is the predominant energy within me. So the acceptance of my own energy is very important. There can be a lot of these conditioning beliefs with respect to accepting my femininity within me. So it is important to look into these irrational beliefs and work on them, letting go of them. That's what will create the harmony in a life when we try to balance both these energies. The union of feminine and masculine energies within the individual is the basis of all creation. And these energies within a man and a woman, these principles within ourselves, when we balance, when we work on the weaker ones to strengthen, when we work the irrationally strong ones to bring it into a balance, then we have a sense of completion. Then we feel whole as a human being. Our soul is always aware, fully aware of what we need to do. It's only our mind, it's only our mental conditioning that creates a block and that creates the dysfunctionality. So it is important to work on this imbalance, to work on the weaker energy to strengthen it more. So, how do we work on it? To strengthen the feminine energy as it is right brand, it's more of intuitive, more of creative, more as emotional. So, indulge yourself into this creative hobbies, dancing, pottery, or painting, sketching, photography, music, singing, even listening to music. So, all art forms, whatever you feel drawn to, that will help to work on our this feminine aspect. Also, involving yourself in team activity where you're working in collaboration with other people. Be vulnerable. Of course, it is difficult at times to open up to your vulnerability. It can be very scary, but it is important to be open to our authenticity, our fears. Unless we face them, they're not going to get resolved. So be vulnerable. Being vulnerable is not a weakness. Being vulnerable is a sign of strength. Not everyone has that courage to be vulnerable in front of people. People tend to close themselves, go into their shell, or they can go very defensive. So being vulnerable is a strength. It's not a weakness. All these activities, the creative approaches, pursuing the hobbies, involving yourself in art forms, in drawing, painting, music, or maybe acting, any art forms will help us to come into more functional feminine aspect of us, being open to feel emotions. In my practice of almost 2 decades, I have seen a lot of people who come to me, they don't even have a vocabulary of emotions. They actually think emotions. They don't talk in the language of I feel, they talk in the language of I think. So they actually think emotions, they don't feel emotions. So be open to your emotions. That will open up, that will enhance this feminine aspects in us, the female energies in us. In life, I would say the mother, grandmother, sister, female friends, girlfriends are the archetypes of these feminine energies. Coming from a child, growing into a girl, learning to be nurturing, learning to be compassionate, learning to be kind, learning more of feminine aspects, then growing as an adult, as a woman, becoming wife, mother, grandmother. They are the archetypes of these feminine energies. So more of feminine traits are present in them. In order to strengthen our masculinity, well, you can also go into the mind games like Sudoku or word games, learn martial art forms, join the gym, take on the competitive challenges, set some goals, maybe right from small goals, going into bigger goal, and go towards accomplishing those goals. In society, the archetypes of masculine energy can be, the coming from the child as a boy, growing into an adult, becoming a man, then husband, then father, and the grandfather. Slowly growing, maturing into these masculine traits. In young age, just thriving to achieve the goals, to acquire the materialistic assets, driven towards it, action oriented. Slowly now, after accomplishing, resting into this elderly, grandfatherly role, where now everything has been done, accomplished, and there is really no need to be really driven, but it's all being done. So these can be archetypes for masculine energies. For we to function in a healthy way, in a balanced way, the combination of 60 and 40%, like if I'm a woman, 60% of feminine traits in me and 40% of masculine traits in me are good for me to be a functional adult. And if I'm a man, 60% of masculine traits and 40% of feminine traits are a good balance for a man to be a functional adult. So, this is how we can look within to understand our own inner dynamics, our own masculine and feminine aspects, the attributes, the behaviors within us, understand them, accept them. And accepting is the first step to transform them further. There's always a reason why we are the way we are. If it's an unbalance, there is a reason behind it. And when we work on those reasons, we can change our own inner dynamics to create this healthy balance of male and female energies within us, of masculine and feminine in the energies within us, to create a balance, a healthy balance. So, moving ahead, I'm going to do a process for you, the exercise for balancing feminine and masculine energies within you. So, just sit comfortably. keeping your spine straight, your neck erect. Connect to the body. Feel your feet on the ground if you're sitting in a chair. If you're sitting cross legged, just feel that floor underneath. Feel the Mother Earth underneath. Connect your body. You can close your eyes. Just scan your body from head to toe. Any sensations in any part of the body. Just be with it. Being in communication with your body, connecting to your body. And now, bring your awareness on your breath. Inhalation and exhalation. Just observe the movements of your breath, chest, abdomen, the breath going till your stomach. And as you breathe out, the movement of your abdomen, chest. And as you focus on your outgoing breath, just let go of the tension that your body is holding on to. From head to toes. With every outgoing breath, relaxing yourself completely. Your spine is straight and your neck erect. And body is relaxed. Your facial muscles are relaxed. Your shoulders, your arms, chest and abdomen, the complete back, hips and legs, they are relaxed. With every exhalation, just let go of the tension that each and every body part is holding on to. And now, choose one hand, lift it up like this, and choose one hand for the masculine aspect within you, the masculine energy within you. The male energies within you, the yang principle within you. Take a few moments to go within to reflect within. And that hand that you have raised is signifying masculine aspects within you. Now raise the other hand, representing the feminine aspect within you. Just be with it for a few moments. And keep both these hands around 1.5 to 2 feet away from you and facing each other in front of you, in front of your chest. The masculine energies and feminine energies. And slowly, excuse me, as these hands are facing each other, very slowly start bringing them together. Very slowly. Stay with your thoughts, any feelings, any emotions that you have in this moment. Stay connected to your body, any sensations. Very slowly, take your own time. There is no hurry. Very slowly, bring them together. Just be in this process of feminine and masculine within you coming together. We need two to know one. The one does not exist without the other one. Slowly bring your hands closer. Stay with your feelings. Are there any thoughts? How is the body responding? Are there any sensations? Hot feeling, cold feeling, tremors, vibrations, aches and pains, emotional outburst, any numbness, any tingling, any heaviness. How are the hands? Slowly keep bringing them together. Let it be a slow process. Allow yourself to just flow with this process. Whatever is coming up in this moment, just be with it. And as you are bringing them closer and closer, you can allow when you are ready to join them. Take your own time. There is no hurry. It's your own process. It's your own exploration of your own inner dynamics. It's your understanding about yourself. And as you bring them together, join both the hands. Just take one deep breath. Just feel what you feel. Just be with it. Stay connected to your body. Any sensations from head to toe. Any thoughts, any feelings. Just stay with it for a few moments without rejecting any part of you. Just accepting all these aspects of you the way they are because they exist for a reason, for a valid reason. Just be embracing, accepting because that's who you are. Maybe with a different proportion of your masculine aspect and your feminine aspect. In a very passionate, empathetic way towards yourself. Just be all embracing whatever comes up. Let it settle down. And then slowly you can rub your hands together. Just remember your eyes, and you can open your eyes. Any questions, any doubts, any experiences that you wish to share? I'm here to talk about it. I hope you have got a fair understanding of what are masculine and feminine energies within us, how they are different. You must have read the book Men Are from Mars and Women Are from Venus. They are different. There are different aspects, different attributes, yet they are complementary to each other. They have to be a beautiful amalgamation, a beautiful combination of both. When one is dysfunctional, the other aspect also goes into dysfunctional mode. So, working on this inner dynamics with respect to these energies, it is important to look back at those behaviors, those personality traits, those responses, emotional responses, behavioral responses, or your thought patterns, and going beyond to the root cause and understanding why are they the way they are. Because our subconscious mind always try to protect us. And in order to adapt to the environment that we are brought in, especially as a child, because first 7 years of life are very, very important. It's more of we see from the emotional perspective. And then later 7 years, we see from the logical perspective. In next 7 years, our individuality is getting formed. Our sense of individuality, free self, is getting formed. So this first 7 years of life, as we try to adapt to the environment, because the child is really helpless. It depends on the parent, the environment, even for the survival, nurturing, growing up. And in order to do that, we form a lot of defense mechanism, adaptation strategies, and there are a lot of beliefs, values are formed, what is right, what is wrong. And in this journey, because of these aspects, or feminine and masculine energies get imbalanced. In society, there are a lot of gender biased, I would say, specifications. There can be rules, written, unwritten. There can be expectations. And in this process, we actually lose ourselves. So it is important to look into our these traits of feminine and masculine. If you are very aggressive, look into where is it coming from, what is the root cause, so that I balance it with my feminine compassion, kindness. If you are really very overwhelming, very passive, very submissive, look into your inner dynamics. What's the reason that you are the way you are? And it is important to bring up the masculine principle within you so that you become more confident, assertive, standing for yourself. And self work or bringing this balance is continuous. I feel it is till our last breath that has to continue. Life throws us challenges. Life is not easy. There are different environments, there are different situations. We meet different people, and we need to access different traits of our feminine and masculine. There can be challenging situations too. And to bring in the states, the attributes that is needed in that moment, in that situation, will come up with the ease that you are able to balance both these energies. I hope uh, because of this information of today, maybe you are inspired, you are motivated to look within of this masculine and feminine traits, behaviors, your attributes, and try to do the needful to bring in both these in balance so that we become an adult, a functional adult. So, wishing you all the best and thank you so much for your time. Thank you.